Hiya, welcome to Abby's Book Reviews. This is the January wrap-up. Can't believe it's the end of January already. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I read 14 books this month, so I'm going to try to make this not too long. And I'm going to change it up for this year. So last year I tried to do it in like order of preference. This year I am doing just the order I read them in, and I'm also going to include all of them this year of like each month rather than what I review for that month. So some of the books I talk about won't actually be reviewed until February. But I'm just hoping that way then I actually give you guys the truth, I suppose, rather than last year I was kind of making it up. Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson and Lauren Miracle. It is so cute. One of my friends said another book that I read was like Love Actually. I think this one is more like Love Actually than the other one because they all interlink. And oh my gosh, this was such a perfect wintry romance like read. It's contemporary, which I don't normally do, but it fitted in with one of my book bingos. Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so cute. Definitely recommend it. We had to have a childhood favourite in one of my book bingos, so I had the Twits by Roald Dahl. One, because it is super short, and two, because I haven't read it in ages and I was just thinking about Roald Dahl and I was like, oh, I could read, you know, the BFG or George's Marvellous Medicine or Matilda, and I was like, they're really long. Like, they would be quick and easy anyway, but I wanted something super quick. And my copy of the Twits is 95 pages. Yeah, this was read in about an hour. Go on to My True Love Gave to Me. This is written by 12 authors, edited by Stephanie Perkins. Most of the authors I haven't heard of before, or I've heard of them but not read anything. I have read Holly Black, Lani Taylor and Kirsten White. And they're the only three that I have read before, and the only stuff by them that I've read is fantasy. So it was so weird to go into reading their stuff. It was contemporary rather than fantasy, which was a little bit weird, but I loved it. It's so interesting to see different authors' takes on true love at Christmas, holidays. But yeah, oh my gosh, it was so cute. Read it over a few days. But yeah, having the short story aspect just made it so much easier to pick up and put down. Because that's just like, just read one story or just read two, rather than you want to read all of it because it's one story. This was my first 5-star book for the year. It is A Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. This I got in an owl crate last year. So my first two owl crates, I got Heartless and I got the December owl crate, but I received them both in January when I ordered the January one. So either December or January last year. Yeah, it's, oh my gosh. I really didn't want to pick it up because I hadn't heard that much about it. And then I put it down for one of my book bingos and I was like, I'm determined to read this book no matter what. And I am so glad I did. I love it. And Ink Mistress, which is the prequel, comes out in March or April. I think it's March. And I am so looking forward to it. And oh my gosh, it's a definite recommend from me. And if you're looking for something LGBT or, you know, a diverse read for a bingo or anything, highly recommend this. And if you just want a good old fantasy romance, go read it. Like, oh my god, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, in the screenplay. So I imagine most people have seen the film. Matt got this for me for our anniversary last year, and I've just been putting it off because I wasn't that bothered about reading it, like picking it up straight away and reading it. Like, I knew I wanted to read it eventually. But yeah, again, I picked this up because of one of my bingos was a book gifted to you. So I was like, that's the perfect time to read it. And I'm so glad I did. It was so funny to read it and then like kind of remember bits from the movie. And as soon as I put it down, I put the DVD in and watched it. Loved by PC and Kirsten Cast. So this is a new series for the 10th anniversary of House of Night. It's called House of Night Otherworld is the series. There's definitely a second book. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's coming out, I think, again about July time. So I'm really looking forward to that. I was skeptical about going back to House of Night after, you know, so long away from it. But this is set only a year after the end of House of Night series, and it seems like no time has passed at all since I picked that series up. It is still the same, but they're matured. They're actually like in the world, like making moves and stuff, and it's really, really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the next one because that cliffhanger was a bit of a killer. Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayburn. This is the first in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series, and I loved it. So it's set in the Victorian times, late 1880s in London, and Veronica is a lepidopterist, something like that. She's a butterfly catcher and collector. But yeah, in a world where it's a case of women are below men, they are allowed to do the same things, etc., etc. It's really refreshing to see characters, male and female, who think against that and who are forward thinking and have, I suppose, a modern take on the world that are Victorian. And I really, really enjoyed it. They are kind of murder mysteries in a way. Not necessarily murder mysteries, but they're like crime novels, but historical at the same time. They're just so much fun. Like, really, really enjoy it, and enjoy the characters that are in it and stuff. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lana Popovic. I think I got this, I want to say, in a fairy loot box. It might have been out crate. I apologise for not remembering which one it is. I didn't really know much about it going in, but I really, really enjoyed the story, and I'm really, really looking forward to the next one, Fierce Like a Firestorm. It's oh my gosh, like, so much happens that you can't see coming, or at least I didn't see coming, and it's such a different take on magic and I suppose like the history of the magic. It's just so cool. Then I read A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Rayburn. This is the second in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series, and this is set a couple of months after A Curious Beginning. It's to do with the murder of an artist and basically acquitting the murderer and proving that the police got the wrong person, which again I think is so modern. Like, I don't think that's something that necessarily would have been done in Victorian England. Oh my gosh, loved it. Time Shards by Dana Fresty and David Fitzgerald. These two are married. This I got from Titan, and it came out yesterday actually. It's about an event called The Event. Basically, it's the whole timeline of the Earth shatters into tiny, tiny pieces and gets reformed all together. So there's like a bit of Jurassic with like modern day, plus like 1985, plus like Victorian times, and then like Celtic, Roman Britain. Oh my gosh, and Roundheads. There are Roundheads in this. Quite a few Roundheads. I just found it so cool how there were so many different timelines like all merged together, and how people from across history and with different views and experience of the world, a bit like today anyway, but you know, obviously like modern technology is completely alien to people from Victorian times and people from Roman Britain, and how they come to terms with that. I just thought it was so cool, and it's the first in a trilogy, and there's nothing so far about when the second book is out or even what the second book is called, but I'm already like going, I need the rest of the trilogy. I want to know how this ends, although this is just the beginning, but oh my gosh, yeah. Hero at the Fall by Alwyn Hamilton. This is the last in the Rebel of the Sands trilogy. Look at the cover, it's so pretty. I went to the book launch on the 25th of January to get this, to meet Alwyn again. I also met loads of people that I saw at Yauk in the summer, and a few people that I saw at the Sarah J Maas event in November, along with a couple of the people that I met up with at the Fairy Loot event afterwards, which was so awesome to see everyone again. A couple of them I see across like Bookstagram, I see a couple on BookTube, but not that many. But yeah, just knowing that going to another book event just means that I get to see the same people again, and I suppose in a way like make friends that way rather than just being internet friends, was like just so cool. Anyway, Hero at the Fall. If you have not read the Rebel of the Sands trilogy, go read it. In the UK, this comes out here tomorrow. Like, yeah, just go read this trilogy. It's so amazing. It's such a different take on anything. It's Wild West mixed with Middle East, with magic, with genies, with, oh my gosh, like gunslinging heroine, yeah, main character. as Alvin said, it's about different views on what makes a hero, who's a rebel, what's a traitor. This trilogy is just fantastic. Then I read A Treacherous Curse, again by Deanna Rayburn. This is the third in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series, and this came out halfway through January, I want to say. Oh my gosh, so this is set about 6 months after number 2. Pretty much things have just been plodding along since book 2, and then there's a trip to Egypt that has been cursed. So someone's died, someone else has gone missing, and it turns out that the missing person is the husband of Stoker's ex-wife. Therefore, Veronica has to investigate. I love the relationship of Stoker and Veronica. I really, really want more of the series to see where it progresses, because, like, oh my gosh, they so need to be together, but they're not. And it's just sad. It's really good. So it's the mysterious disappearance of one of the people from the expedition and about trying to discover what happened to Egyptology. Like, pretty cool, especially as Victorian time is when it was all like kicking off, or like the main bulk of it was. And it's just so cool to see it kind of happening around you, whereas like now we're like, oh yeah, you know, 200 years ago they found Tutankhamun or whatever. But to actually read something that is set at that time and to see like how it's shaping society is pretty cool. Spare and Found Parts by Sarah Maria Griffin, which has sprayed edges, which is so pretty and so cool. This is the debut from Sarah. I know it was already published in America, so this is the UK Ireland release, which is actually the 6th of February. I loved this book. I finished it on Monday. It is so good. It's dystopian, and it's where people who have survived are all missing different parts, mostly limbs, some eyes, but Nell is missing her heart. So she's the only one that's got something internal. Everyone else, you can see what's wrong with them. And then you've all got to contribute. In the city that she's in, you've got to contribute something, so mostly making something. Otherwise you end up with being like a stone sculptor, but not really, like just lugging stone up at a giant statue. I suppose a bit like building the pyramids. But it is such a good look at what can happen, because I think it's set pretty much like where we're headed. It's after AI is introduced to the world, and it's about people not really communicating, therefore it causes humanity to basically collapse 100 years after that. So it's just so interesting to see, I suppose, a different take on where humanity's headed. And if it's headed here, that is scary. I don't want it to, but it's a very real possibility. But yeah, definitely worth a read. I absolutely loved it. Read it in 2 days. And then finally for the month, I read Tales from Sand and Sea by Elwyn Hamilton. This is 4 short stories to do with the Rebel of the Sands trilogy. I got it when I went to the launch last week, and oh my gosh, these are the backstories that we didn't get in the main trilogy. They're the backstories I've always wanted, and it was fabulous to have them and to read them, and oh my gosh. It's only 80 pages. If you can get your hands on a copy of this, I recommend you do. I'm really hoping they publish it somehow. I don't know that they will ever publish it this properly, but I absolutely loved it, and yeah, it was a fabulous way to end the month. That is my wrap up for January, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to read in February, but I have just signed up to a new Facebook group, which is TBR and Beyond. Do come join us. Literally started yesterday. But yeah, oh my gosh. So we've got several events already lined up. One of them is a readathon through February, obviously Valentine's themed, and along with what I've already got planned for this month, I'm not sure I'm going to be doing it. Like, I've signed up, but I really need to try and work out now what books will fit into it, or if I just read and just put books into it as I go along. Currently got 7 books lined up. So I've got The Cruel Prince and the whole of the Falling Kingdom series to read. I have then also signed up for a read along of Everless, which I got in the December Fairy Loot box. And I also signed up for a read along of Daughter of the Pirate King. So that will be a reread for me. So that then takes me to 9 books. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do this. But we'll see. We'll see how I get on. This month has been an amazing month for me. I've had 2 weeks of night shifts along with then normal work either side of that. And somehow I still managed to read 14 books. Whereas last year I was on book 12 and I was injured. I was off work. I had no excuse to not read. So yeah, I've read more this year. I'm now waffling, so I am going to leave you alone and I am going to go possibly start my first book for February. I'm not sure. I might hold off on it until midnight. Anyway, enjoy the book you're reading and I will speak to you soon.